Do you want to go perch fishing with crankbaits in November? Check it out. Good morning, guys. My name is Jörgen Larsson and I'm here on the Swedish East Coast with my good friend Daniel Nilsson. What's the plan today, Daniel?
Today we're going to try to target some perch that has gone into shallow water. We're going to try to activate them using crankbaits and see if we can cover a lot of water and be effective and catch a lunker. We'll see.
We just started fishing here and we're drifting a drop off with some weed. I just had the first bite. I missed it and then it followed, so it went for the crankbait again, very close to the boat, and I missed it again, so a little bit frustrating. But it's quite gentle takes, just picking at the hard bait.
When I fish with crankbaits and jerkbaits, my favorite way of fishing them is with hard twitches and working the slack with picking up the slack with the reel, and actually just moving the bait with the rod, and alternating between long and short pauses, and always keeping a slight tension on the line to always have control and feel also the small bites, but always working with the rod and just picking up the slack with the reel is a technique that has worked well for me while crankbait fishing. You get a really erratic and uneven action on the bait. You really get also the raw bites and baby bite. You can really get them to wander out from side to side and have a real panic fleeing motion on them. Seems to attract the fish.
When I'm fishing a crankbait, I like to work with the reel. Take a few quick turns with the reel and then pause. And when you're using a lure like the baby bite or the raw bite, the lure will just hang there. And the takes often come when you pause the lure, so it's suspending and hanging in the water. I try to vary the speed to see what they like. The water is getting cold now, so it might be that we have to fish slower. But the speed is also a way of trigger the fish to get active. So don't be afraid to fish fast even when it's cold, as long as you do the pause and let the lure hang there. Let's drift all the way down to the rocks, Daniel.
Yeah.
It's a good chance of fish all the way here.
No, I think it's a nice perch. First perch of the day. First drift. Yeah, it's a nice perch. Wow. Whoop.
Big one.
Here we go. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a nice perch.
Beautiful
this is
fish.
Crankbait fishing in November.
Beautiful fish, Daniel.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Beautiful brackish. First fish of the day. A beautiful perch. Brackish water perch. Took a baby bite shallow runner in a pause, and a good thing with the baby bite is it's completely suspending. So when you pause the bait, it gives the perch a long time to see it and react. So if the perch are a bit tricky, maybe now in November, it's not so the bite is off. A bait that suspends really well is very nice. Yeah. A huge upside to fishing a crankbait is that you can cover a lot of water very effectively. Right now we're drifting with the wind on the side with the boat, and I'm just compensating all the time with the electric motor. Just trying to follow structure and weed lines and different places where the perch would group. So we're fishing a long weed line here, and I'm just compensating with the electric motor. And you can just cast and cast and cast with the crankbait. You don't have to wait till it sinks to the bottom like a normal jig. It's very effective. You cover a lot of water, and the sound of it also, the vibrations and the sound really draw the perch in from a long distance. So it doesn't matter if you cast very close to your last cast, you will still cover a lot of water and the perch will find the lure. It's very effective covering water and also finding new spots. There's a lot of benefits.
Are we drifting against the rocks?
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna drift straight over it so we can cast.
We have
covering it.
an area here with a few rocks that normally holds fish. So I hope we can hit that area on the drift.
Point the nose in the direction and start driving because the wind has slowed down a lot. So the drift is too slow. Getting company again.
What about trying the bay over there? There's a nice weed line there, Daniel.
Yeah, you can try it. Let's see what happens a little bit deeper there also. Let's do it. So, did you put on a fire perch now? Jörgen?
Sorry?
Did you put on a fire perch color?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the water is quite dark, so I'm trying another color.
Yeah. I'll keep going with the official roach for now. I think the water is...
a very safe bet.
Yeah, the water is getting more murky and murky, so Jörgen has put on a fire perch, the color fire perch. Very nice coloration when the water is getting darker.
Often if you can find areas with a little bit more murky water, a little bit more color, then you can find the fish. They don't really like the crystal clear water, so can you find areas where the wind has pushed for several days and made the water a little bit murky? That's often an interesting spot to try. If you happen to find a nice hotspot with fish, then it's always worth coming back to the same place again in different times of the day. The perch can have very distinct feeding periods, so you can be on the best spot in the world at the wrong time and catching nothing. Then you come back a few hours later, the fishing can be hot as lava. So you need to try the hot spot many times during the day to see if you can find the feeding periods. Oh, it's a beautiful fish. There it comes. Oh, they're so strong now. On the fire perch.
Let's go with a brighter color. Yes!
Nice one.
Nice fish. Almost exactly on the same spot as mine.
Yeah. As I said before, it's always worth to come back to the hot spots. Beautiful perch. Very hard strike on the baby bite fire perch color. I gotta fix the lure later. Take care of the fish. What a beautiful fish. Look at the colors. Absolutely fantastic. They don't get more beautiful than this, that's for sure. And to see them swim away also feels so good. Goodbye. We're gonna show you some of our favorite crankbaits for perch fishing. And the reason why we have different lures is 1, running depth, different running depth. 2, swimming action. They have different action in the water. And 3, sound. They also have different sound in the water. Here is Platypus DR, deep runner, 10 centimeters, has a running depth around 2.5 meters, and a very wide rolling swimming action in the water. Also creates a lot of noise thanks to the rattle balls inside. His brother, Platypus SR, shallow runner, same swimming action, but a smaller lip, so I would say the running depth is around 1.5 meters on this one.
I want to show you one of my favorite hard lures. It is the Baby Bite. This is the deep runner version. This one runs down to about 3 to 4 meters, depending on how you retrieve it. It's a long casting, small lure. It has a tight action, very erratic, and it has rattle beats, but they're not very high frequent, kind of subtle, the sound of it. This is a very suspending lure. It completely stands still in the pauses. So this is a great lure when the fish is, they need a little bit more time to make up their mind. This one comes also in a shallow runner version. This one runs down to about 1.5 meters and it's perfect for shallow water fishing. But don't be tricked, because they will lure fish from deep water to go up and check them out. Note that we have the density, gram and the running depth on all our lures written on them.
The last lure I'm gonna show you is one of my favorite lures for shallow water perch fishing, the raw bite. 7 centimeters, floating. It has a little bit wider action in the water than the Baby Bite, and it's a little bit louder also. Dives to around 1.3, 1.4 meters. This is a real perch killer.
Now when it's a bit shallow, I'm working with the rod upwards instead of down. You can really alternate the depth of the lure by just where you're pointing and how you're holding your rod. If the lure goes down to 1.5, 2 meters, when holding the rod down, you point your rod tip up, you can practically get it to go just below the surface, but still fish it in the same way. On the left side here, we have a group of fish. We're not really sure what it is, but you can see very clearly the markings and the shadows behind them. And here you have a weed line. That's why it's completely black, because the weeds grow up and ruin the sight to the left there. So just outside the weed line we have a group of fish. This is all shadows from behind the fish, and you see the small white markings. This is fish. So we don't know if it's bream or perch, but we're gonna have a couple of casts and see if we can catch something, hopefully. Big perch?
Yeah. It's a really nice fish. Really nice fish.
Several of them.
Yes, that's a big one.
Nice.
That's a big one.
That's a really big one. Here, take care of it. I'll take a couple more casts because I saw several perch over there.
Yeah. That's a big fish.
Yeah. Nice.
This is the one we came for.
Yeah.
This is the one we came for. Check out this fish. Check this out. What a beast. This one is heavy, I can say. This is a fantastic fish. This is a true dream fish. On a crankbait, Baby Bite,
November.
fire perch. In November, the water temperature is just below 6 degrees. This is a dream fish.
And there are several of them. I saw 3 or 4.
Yeah. Even if the fishing is difficult and you have to do 1,000 casts in a day, when you catch a fish like that, it's all worth it. It's worth every hard hour. To catch a fish like that on a crankbait in November doesn't get better. Doesn't get any better.
For 2018, Westin-Fishing is introducing in the V3 rod series the Finesse Crank. This is a rod that's very affordable and is optimized for casting small crankbaits with braided line. Traditionally, fluorocarbon is used as a main line while crankbait fishing for the benefits it has. It's sinking, it has stretch, and the stretch allows the fish to stay hooked a lot easier. We have compensated this with a moderate action on the rod, It's a bit softer, it lets the bait move really freely, and when you hook a fish, it won't jump off. So this rod is all about casting. It loads really well with weights around 13 grams, and it's just a blast fishing with. It's super fun and it's perfect for small crankbaits. Check it out. Yep.
Come on.
Yep. Yes!
Yes! Well done. Well done. It's a good one also, huh?
Yep. It's like the other ones we caught. Not as big as yours, the biggest one, but it's one of those really, really nice perch.
Good fish.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though it's super cold in the water, they're slamming the hard baits. It's really fun. Also this one on the baby bite, but this one is on the fire perch color. I think my last one was on the official roach. This is bigger than my first one.
Yeah.
This is maybe 1300.
Yep.
This is so much fun. Ah.
Very nice fish.
That's a beautiful fish. The day is coming to an end. We've had a tough day, but
really tough day.
We have caught a handful of really nice perch, and you caught a really big one, and can't ask really much more than that. We're gonna release the last fish. Beautiful brackish water perch right there on a crankbait in November. So if you haven't tried late season crankbaiting, try it. It's really fun. So, thank you for today. Bye bye. Nice.